Hello, my name is Aaron, and welcome to Board Games, Bricks, and Hobbies. This is a series where I take a quick look at one of the board games in my collection and give my thoughts about it. I'll talk about my likes and dislikes, as well as if I think the game is going to stay in my collection. Today, we're taking a look at the shuffle building game, Smash Up. Let's have a brief look at the components, and then talk about what I like. So, what do I like about Smash Up? Well, first of all, I really enjoy just the sheer amount of content that this game provides. As you can see in the overview, there are so many different factions to choose from. Everything from dinosaurs to ninjas and pirates, cowboys, all the way up to sharks and tornadoes, and even knockoff intellectual properties based on Star Wars and knockoff Transformers, things like that. If you can name it, it's probably in this game. And that's part of the fun, is just picking your two factions and then mixing them up and playing with that during the game. Another thing that I really like about the game is the ability to pull off some really satisfying combos, because by default you can only play 2 cards per turn. However, if you use the abilities of your minions and you use the abilities on your cards, you can sometimes pull off a combo that creates a chain of events that leads to you scoring a lot of points. And it doesn't happen often, and it can be difficult to do. Sometimes just the luck of the draw is not in your favor. But when you are able to do that, it is just really fun, and it's a really great part of the game. And part of the strategy is just trying to create those combos and work the synergies of the two factions that you have chosen. And the final thing that I like about the game is the way that the scoring is done. Because with the scoring, first, second, and third place will typically get points on a base when it scores. And I like that because it means that the game is always progressing towards the end game, and it keeps the game from being too long. And so I just really like the way that the scoring is done, and it keeps everyone just always in the game. With that, let's go ahead and move on to the dislikes. Now, what do I dislike about Smash Up? Well, just a couple things. One, I really don't enjoy teaching this game to new people. And it's not that it's really all that difficult of a game. It's just that there's a lot of text on the cards, and a lot of the cards are unique, even within each faction. And that makes it difficult for people who have maybe never played a board game outside of Catan or Monopoly. It just makes it a bit more difficult of a concept to grasp, since there are so many different cards and so many different options. It's kind of similar to Dominion in that sense, where there's a lot of text on each card, and it definitely takes a play or two for new players to grasp just the concept and exactly what's happening in the game. And the second thing that I'm not as big of a fan of is having to constantly count and tally the points on each base. Now, what I'm saying is, in each game there's bases, and when the amount of minions on that base exceeds a certain power level, then that base will break and it will score. and having to constantly count the amount of power on each face is kind of annoying, and it slows down the game more than I would like it to. I know that there are some apps and some people use counters and just other things to keep track of that, but you're still having to fiddle with something. If you use tokens, you're still having to move them around, and it's just kind of an annoying thing that has to be done in the game, is just constantly having to count what everything's at. And this is further complicated just by some of the special cards and abilities which add or subtract power, and just not the most fun part of the game. So those are the two main things that I'm not a huge fan of with Smash Up. So with that said, what's the verdict on this one? Well, I'm hanging on to it. I do enjoy Smash Up. I like the silliness of smashing together the two factions and just going crazy with the abilities and the cards, and I do enjoy the game. Now, with that said, it's not one that I want to play all the time, and it's definitely helpful to be aware of the group that you are with, and that's something I try to keep in mind, because this game is probably not one that is for everyone, and that's okay. But I do like it enough to keep it around. I don't feel the need to have every single faction in the game. I just picked a few of the ones that interest me. And so, yeah, that is Smash Up. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to learn more about the game that was featured on this episode, you can check out the links in the description for more information. And if there's a game behind me that you'd like me to take a look at, let me know in the comments. Once again, thanks for watching the video. Hope to see you again in another one. Take care.